Avni Singh is the founder, and she's also a senior at Austin High School. And then Sophia Sandrea is a senior at McCallum High School. My name's Alexa Curtis. I'm the founder of a lifestyle site for teens and a nonprofit on social media and mental health. So the girls and I are going to talk all about teens fighting sexual harassment and Girl Alliance.
Hi everybody, I'm Avni. Thank you so much for coming. So I want to start just by telling you all a story. So freshman year, this was 4 years ago, my friend, let's call her Ellie, had a crush on this guy in her biology class. His name was Josh. And they did all the typical flirty stuff. They had a Snapchat streak, they shared jokes during class, all of that. And after a few weeks of this, Josh texted Ellie one night, and these were the words that she saw: "Send nudes." So yeah, Josh was literally asked Ellie to send him naked pictures of herself before they'd even gone on a date. And Ellie was equally flattered and horrified. On one hand, she didn't want to seem like a prude, she didn't want to risk losing his attention, but she also knew that there were consequences to putting images like that of yourself out there. So what my friend ended up doing is she sent the nudes. And Josh immediately distributed the pictures to the entire football team. And so, you know, having said that, this is not just one occurrence. This is actually a really prevalent problem in our society, and Sophia's going to talk a little bit about that.
So according to a study done in 2012, 70% of high school age girls have been asked to send naked pictures of themselves, with over 90% of them feeling at least a little bothered by this request. And the American Association of University Women found that 60% of women will be sexually harassed throughout their college experience. And according to the males surveyed, over half of them admitted to having sexually harassed someone during college. Saying this, I mean, we have to address the culture from the start. And this problem does not start when you leave to college, it starts before. So that's our goal, to address it now.
Yeah, so I want to show you guys really fast what the current harassment reporting form looks like at a lot of high schools. But basically, it's super vague and doesn't provide a lot of context surrounding confidentiality, anonymity. There's no real information about what might happen legally and what those consequences might look like if someone were to report something that happened to them. It's also really difficult to have proof, especially when things are happening online. So my friend Ellie never ended up reporting what happened to her, and I totally understand why, because she was concerned that one of two things would happen. Either Josh would end up deleting the pictures before they were found, and she would be harassed even more, or she would, you know, be ostracized by the high school community for making stories up. The other thing she was afraid of is that they would find her nudes on his phone, and she would get in trouble for that, and her parents would be mad at her, and there were all kinds of consequences that might happen there. So she's really stuck, and she's not able to get justice because the way that we address these kinds of issues aren't fitting what happened to her. So having said all of that, I realized about 2.5 years ago that there's a real problem in the way that we as a culture, but also systematically recognize and address sexual harassment. And so I started Girl Alliance to empower teen girls to confidently recognize and handle sexual harassment, especially online, because it's just so hard to identify what that looks like today. So the first thing, so I'll be honest with you guys, when I first started this, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had all these different plans, and I was just really upset and angry with Josh and guys like him, and I wanted to get justice for girls like my friend Ellie. So I did know that what I didn't want to do was emulate the current solutions that exist out there. So there's apps that are called ScentTel, Selfie Cop, and what those kinds of apps do is they rely on parent monitoring to look through, all your kids' pictures and see all their text messages. And that's super unhealthy, and for a lot of kids, they don't want to talk to their parents about this kind of issue, and it's difficult, and it's awkward, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. And so I really, starting to think about those solutions, I really wanted to put the power into the teens' hands themselves. So the first thing that we started with is a sticker campaign. So we've got 3 designs up here, and I think they're going to be going around to you all if you want to grab one. Please do. But my favorite design here is DBH, which stands for Don't Become Harvey, like Harvey Weinstein. And they basically, it's really a conversation starter to put these on your water bottle like I have here, or on your laptop, and get people talking about this issue and recognize that it's one that exists. So after I started with this sticker campaign, my next plan was to do just a total social media blitz. So my next idea was Instagram, especially because teenagers, myself included, are always on our phones, and so I knew that Instagram would be a great way to connect with my peers outside of just my high school and outside of Austin. And so unfortunately, after 40 hours of content development and hundreds of followers, our Instagram account got deleted for sexually explicit content, which is super ironic. And I was really upset about it, and I was in despair, and I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to connect with kids outside my school? And then I had a revolutionary idea, which was face-to-face communication. So I immediately called Sophia. We've been friends for a really long time, and I knew she'd be down to help me out with this and bring other girls on board. We go to different high schools too, so that would be a great way to branch out. And we started to plan our first ambassador brunch.
So Avni and I had the idea to assemble 20 amazing teen ambassadors from both of our high schools and also surrounding high schools. And so what we've been doing is utilizing all of our connections from our extracurriculars, activities, people that we know, to just further our organization as a whole and expand our network as much as we can. And so all of us have taken turns running the Instagram page, which we have since fixed, and without them we definitely wouldn't have been able to do that. So
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and then I'd say, with this whole awareness campaign, by far the hardest thing for me to do was just getting up in front of our peers and talking about this issue, because it's, like I said, it's awkward, and it's hard to kind of point out these kinds of problems, especially because they're so, controversial. They can be. And so what we ended up doing is just going to different classrooms around our schools and talking about what Girl Alliance was, talking about how this issue is one that exists and that we don't talk about a lot, passing out stickers, all of that good stuff. And I really honestly believe that if Ellie or Josh had been in one of these classrooms or had seen one of our stickers or even stumbled upon our Instagram, what happened next might not have happened, I'm hoping. So after all our whole awareness campaign, all of that, I think reflecting, the next step that we took was really helping teens identify if they're a victim or a perpetrator in this problem, and just seeing how, figuring out if the way that we're identifying and kind of categorizing harassment is right. So what y'all are seeing up here is the Crusher Creek Guide to Sexual Harassment, and this is something that I created in my senior capstone class last semester with a few other ambassadors at my high school. And all of these comments and behaviors are real things that have happened to people that we know. And so what this is really a way for any girl or guy to see where they might fall on the chart, if they're veering into maybe unhealthy relationship territory, or if what they're experiencing is totally normal and healthy, friendly and flirty. Yeah, and so our next plan with this is to create kind of an app version, and what this will have is not only all those resources found in the Crusher Creek Guide, it will also provide next steps about what your options are. So if a girl were to identify, okay, I'm in the really uncomfortable category, they'd go through this quiz and they'd get a result, and they'd be able to see, okay, these are, there's a YouTube video down there. So what that is basically providing more context to a situation that you might be in your relationship. You'll also, once you go through the quiz and look at the chart, you can identify next steps. And so that's what really this third step is showing our peers, these are your options about talking to hotlines, these are your options as far as talking to your school counselor, what it will be like if you were to report an incident to your Title IX counselor. There's just there's a lot of fear surrounding what those next steps will be and what the consequences will be for the victim and the perpetrator. And so that's a lot of the reasons why reporting just doesn't happen, because there's just a lack of information and transparency around it. So this is really just to just show it clearly and be like, hey, this is what's going to happen. That way each person can make the best steps for themselves.
So our fourth and most long-term goal is to create systemic change in our school district. Of course, we want to expand it, but we're starting out small and talking to our school district officials, and so far they've been extremely open and kind. And we all
really awesome. She was the one who let us go to our classrooms and present during her class time countless times. And then Dr. Kathleen Reardon is a USC professor, and she inspired us to do the Crusher Creep guide. She gave us tons of feedback on our guide. And so all these people have made a tremendous impact, and I'm hoping that, you know, hearing the ways that they've helped me, that inspires you all to make those same kind of connections with the young people in your lives.
First off, round of applause for what these girls have created. They're amazing. And Girl Alliance was founded when?
It was about 2.5 years ago.
So they're both 18, even though they act like they're 33, and I'm 21. So I started blogging in 2011, and over the past, I don't know how many years that is, everything has changed so much. So I want to ask you guys, like, one quick question first. What advice would you have for parents whose kids are dealing with any type of sexting or inappropriate behavior on even a platform like Snapchat?
Yeah, so I'd say just, like, be honest. Like, your child or your sister, whoever, is like definitely going to be exposed to these kinds of topics, whether it happens to them, whether it happens to their friends. It's awkward for sure, but it's definitely a topic that you just gotta have. So I just say, you know, talk to them about Girl Alliance. Talk to them about the healthy ways to use Snapchat and what a healthy relationship actually looks like.